Hi guys, welcome back. I hope everyone had a wonderful week. I have a little bit of a different intro this time, but I'm excited to show you these 3 different boho style wall hangings I am doing today using yarn. And in the video coming up, I do post a material list for each project before I begin, just to let you know in case you want a screenshot. And I did get a new camera holder, so halfway through the video, you will see your point of view change, and it points down, so you'll be able to follow along more easily and see what I'm doing. So I was really excited about that. So let me know what you guys think down below. And if you are enjoying these, remember to like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great one. Bye. Okay, first project, and I have a material list here for you. I'm going to be using the yarn from the Dollar Tree, and my wood dowel is from the Hobby Lobby. It's a little bit bigger than the Dollar Tree ones. I'm cutting my yarn pieces into 36-inch pieces, and this was the most time-consuming part of the whole project. I did cut the whole ball of yarn, and I used almost all of it. And I saw him coming out of the corner of my eye. So you're going to take your yarn and I took about 8 pieces, and you're going to fold it in half, and we're going to wrap it around the wood dowel. And all I am doing is making a loop, and then I'm going to pull the yarn through the loop over the dowel rod. So make a loop up top, and you just stick your fingers through there, and you're going to pull those 2 pieces right there through the loop. It's really, really simple. And I'm going to do it here one more time. So just making a loop at the top. Then you're going to stick your fingers through there and pull the 2 long pieces through that loop and over. So it's really, really simple once you get the hang of it. So I'm going to do that and fill up the whole dowel rod doing the same exact thing. That part is done, and I apologize, I did not get footage, but the wood beads I did put on the end of the dowel rod, and they fit perfectly. I'm going to work on the handle now, and I'm using a piece of twine, and I'm also going to use the wood beads and just thread on there. And my wood beads I did get from Amazon. It was like $12 for a pretty big variety pack of different sizes. But I'm going to get that together, and the twine I am going to wrap around the ends, and then I'm going to knot it pretty tight, and then I'm going to knot it again, and I will be going back through and hot gluing all this down as well to make sure it stays nice and tight. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my hot glue, and I'm going to glue the twine in probably about 3 or 4 pieces of the yarn I have looped. I'm going in with the hot glue and in between the yarn and making sure it's on the wood just to make it hold better and it doesn't move around at top. And every 3 or 4 pieces, and I'll check the front too as I go to make sure it's, staying in a straight line and everything's matching up and looking the way I want it to. This is the back once I have it all glued. Now time to work on the front. So the wood beads, I'm just spacing them out here and trying to figure out what kind of layout I want to do with them. So I'm going to start on the other end. As you can see, I already have one on the other side. I was trying it out, and I am taking 10 pieces of yarn to stick through the wood bead. And if you have a crochet needle, that would come really in handy right about now to help you get all those through. Because once you can get the 10 pieces of yarn through, those beads do stay. They do not move around. So it was just a little bit of a pain trying to get them all through there, but well worth it in the end. So that's all I'm doing here, using that little small paintbrush to help me along. So I'm just going to go through and repeat this process with all of them. And after I do get this on, I am going to start with the middle next, and I'm going to count the loops up there to figure out the middle of the piece, so that way everything's looking symmetric in the end. Now I'm just going to go in and cut it as even as I possibly can. And it is a little bit hard because it's yarn, but I just did the best that I could. I do love how this turned out. It's simple. I mean, you can add, braids or knots or whatever you would like, or you could have just left the twine and left the beads off the top. So again, just all your preference. I was just trying to give you guys some ideas, and my sister actually already called this one. Right now for the next project, I'm going to make a material list here so you can screenshot if you're interested. But I'm going to be using these 2 rolls of yarn I found at the Dollar Tree and the wood piece. First, I'm going to figure out how long I'm going to want to cut my yarn, and I'm going to do mine in about 26-inch pieces. And you're going to go through and cut all that yarn, which is the most time consuming. So then I'm going to start by stapling them on the back, and what worked for me was about 3 to 4 pieces at a time. And this process would probably be easier if you had a staple gun. I'm just using a regular staple. So I'm going to go down the whole way, and again doing 3 to 4 pieces. And once I got the whole thing covered, I'm going to go back in about 3 or 4 pieces again and just go probably about every inch, half an inch, and fill it in even more, because later on when I make braids, I want there to be extra yarn in the back, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a few minutes. Okay, and then once I am done with that, I'm just going to trim off the top of the yarn. And now I'm going to show you how I make my tassels. So you're going to start with a roll of yarn, a hardcover book. I prefer that instead of a soft book. And then you're going to cut off 2 pieces that you're going to use here in a little bit to tie off your tassels. And the second piece I do cut off really long because I need to make sure I can blend it into my tassel after I knot it, and you'll see as we go. So now I'm going to put this at the end of the book, and I'm going to hold it in place, and I'm going to wrap this around 50 times. And for reference, the book I'm using is 5.5 inches wide, and in the end, my tassel from top to bottom will be like 5.25 inch long. So again, this is all just preference for you. So once I have that wrapped around, we're going to cut that off, and I just like to cut it off at the same where I started it. And then you're going to pull this off, and it will be a little bit snug, but it'll still come off pretty easy. So we are going to keep that tight, and that's what it should look like. And then you're going to take your scissors, and this is where some sharp scissors come in handy, because you want to take it at one end, and I'm going to pull tight as I do this, and then you're going to cut. Okay, and then I'm going to lay that flat out and kind of comb it through. And the first piece of yarn that I cut, the shorter piece, not the long piece, I'm going to take that because we are going to tie that one down the middle of this. And I'm just going to tie it in a knot, and I will double knot it. I do pull this knot pretty tight because this is the yarn, these 2 pieces that you're going to be using to actually tie it onto your braid or whatever piece you're wanting to on your wall hanging. So I do this pretty tight, and I double knot it, and that seems to work well for me. So now we are going to work on the top part of the tassel. I just call it like the little poof. So I'm going to comb this through with my fingers and try and get it as straight as possible. And this is where you're going to use the longer piece of yarn. And you're going to take that, and this is preference, up to you how far down you want it. And then you're going to tie it around in a knot as well. Okay, and again, I'm going to do this pretty tight because I don't want it moving. And then before I tighten it all the way, you can go in and just make sure it's looking the way you want it at the top and nothing's sticking out too crazy. So once I like it, I'm going to tighten it, and then I'm going to go back in and do another double knot. Okay, and once you have your double knot, I'm going to take those two pieces and I'm going to wrap them around to kind of give it a more finished, clean look. And I am going to take both of those pieces and wrap it in the same direction, as you can see here. And again, I'm only going to do this a couple of times because then we are going to tuck it in. And this is where it comes into play, why I wanted this piece of yarn to be a lot longer. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to tuck it behind what I just wrapped, and a crochet needle would probably come in handy around here this time if you're having trouble. So I just grabbed the end of my smaller paintbrush I had on hand to help me tuck it underneath there. And then once I get those pulled through, because they're a lot longer, they will just blend in with the rest of the tassel. So I don't have to worry about trying to cut it short and cover that part up. So I'm just gonna blend that in with the others, and I'm going to get it all straight and start trying to comb it out again with my fingers. Okay, now we need to cut the end of it to make it even. So I'm just going to comb it through again, and then I'm going to pull from right underneath that poof, and I'm going to keep pulling pretty tight. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut it across the bottom. And again, this comes your preference, how much you want to cut off or leave it longer or shorter. So, but yes, I'm just going to cut it straight across, and then you might have some stragglies. Just make sure you get those off. And then there you have your tassel. Okay, now I'm going to start in the middle of this, and I just eyeballed the middle, but I decided I'm going to do a braid, and just a normal braid. I'm not going to do anything too intricate on this because it is a little bit harder because I am working with the yarn. But I'm going to go in and do just a knot at the top to kind of give it a more polished look. And I think I grabbed about 12 pieces of yarn to do this. Yes, I did, because then I'm going to divide it into 3 separate things, so 4 pieces each to actually make the braid, if that makes sense, like right here. So 4, 4, and 4. And then yes, I'm just going to braid it all the way down. And then when I get down to the end of the braid, I'm just going to do another knot. Okay, now I'm going to start on the ends. And I decided, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do at first, but I'm going to do knots all the way down on this instead of doing another braid. So again, just like the top, or just like I did on the braid, but I'm going to do this all the way down. So I'm just going to keep doing knot after knot after knot. But with doing this, I didn't think ahead because I didn't know what I was going to do till I actually sat down and started doing this. I would have cut the yarn a lot longer than I did, because you will see here in a minute, by doing all these knots, it's making it a lot shorter. So, which was okay, because I ended up putting a tassel on this to kind of give it a finished look. But just again, keep that in mind. If you do knots all the way, it's going to shorten your yarn like half the length of the others. So yeah, again, I'd cut it a lot longer, but I'm going to do that all the way down here. All right, so here you can see how much it shortened the length of the yarn, but that's okay. I can usually work with what I'm doing if something doesn't work out right. But I'm going to take the tassel and I'm just going to tie it onto the bottom. I'm going to kind of tie it so it's in the back. And then I will double knot this as well. And then after I double knot it, I'm going to take the two pieces that I used to tie it and push that out of the way, and the little pieces from the yarn that I made all the knots with coming down, I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim those off. Few pieces that I used to tie the tassel on, I'm going to take that and keep wrapping around the top of the tassel and where the knots meet to kind of help make it blend in. And then I am going to tie it in a knot again, and all I'm going to do this time is snip off the two pieces of yarn. Okay, now that I have both the ends done, I'm going to work in the middle. So I'm going to keep this pretty simple, but I'm going to start off by putting a knot at the top so it matches the other three pieces we have done. And then I'm going to go to the other side in between the middle and the end and do the exact same thing by tying a knot at the top just to give it a more polished look. Okay, and once I have that done, I'm just going to take it. I'm not going to do anything with the middle of that. I'm just going to pull it straight down and just make another knot at the end, because I am going to be adding flowers, so I didn't want to do a whole lot. I wanted to keep this part pretty simple. So I'm just double knotting it here, as you can see, and I did not do anything in between the top and bottom of those knots. And now I'm going to add on another tassel the same exact way I did the others. And then I will do that on the other side. Okay, and now we're going to work on the flowers. And this flower bunch, I did get these at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm cutting them off all the way at the stem. And here I was trying to figure out how much I wanted to take off, but I went ahead and took all off. So even that green part, and then here you can tell, so you'll just have to be careful and hold the flower together so it doesn't fall apart on you. But I needed to cut all that off to make them stay and glue properly. Okay, and here I'm going to work on laying out the flowers before I glue them down. Now these I think they're feathers, I don't know what they're called, or these other little pale pink picks. I did not get those at the Dollar Tree. I think those I got at Michael's probably a couple years ago. But once I had it laid out the way I liked, I am gonna just go in with my glue gun and glue everything down the way that I had it. Here is the finished product. I love how it turned out, and you guys can really make this your own. I thought it'd be pretty even if you had pink yarn to kind of mix in there and maybe do pink and white. Completely up to you, but you can have a lot of fun with this. There's a lot of different things you can do. I think this would be cute in a little girl's room. But anyways, let me know what you guys think, and let's get started with the next. Okay, and for the next project, I'm going to throw up a material list again for you guys. And here are the 3 yarns I'm using. Everything's from Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using this dark gray, and then actually, sorry, dark blue, and that's a lighter gray and a beige color. And again, the wood piece is the same one used previously that I found at the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to start by cutting all the yarn, and I probably only used not even half of each yarn on this. You don't need a whole lot, and I will break it down for you here in just a minute. But I am going to start by staining my wood piece, and you don't have to stain it if you want to leave it just natural, or you can paint it. I just really wanted to stain it a dark color. I thought it'd look pretty with the different colored yarns I was using. So again, this is completely your preference, and I'm not doing the back, so just the front and all the sides. Okay, and here I'm just laying everything out and trying to figure out the color coordination and what length I wanted everything to be. And I started with 5 pieces of yarn each. So what I ended up at the end for this one is on the bottom, that navy color. I ended up using 4 sets of 5 pieces, so 20 pieces of yarn. And then for the middle on the gray, I did 3 sets of 5, so 15 pieces. And then the top, the beige, I just did 2 sets of 5 so 10 pieces of yarn, just in case that helps anyone. So we are going to go and staple the yarn to the back of it again, just like the previous one. And I'm going to go through and do the one side first. And I am trying to lay them right next to each other so they're laying flat as possible and not on top of each other. So here I'm measuring how much each little bunch was. So, and it went out 6. So I think the first one was like 1 inch, the beige colored, and then 2 inches wide for the gray, and then 3 inches wide for the blue. So that way I just had some kind of visual, so I know exactly where to staple the ones going across. I hope that makes sense, as you can see here. And I am trying to do this as straight as possible, and it's not going to be perfect because it is yarn, but I did try to comb it through here and then bring it around and then staple just a few at a time as I went. Alrighty, and I'm just cutting off the excess on top again, and that is all this one is, and we are done. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it, and I hope this gave you some ideas and inspiration. Let me know down below. See you next week. Bye.